You did not choose how you think about money. Someone taught you before you were old enough to question it, and you have been running their program ever since. Think about the first time you remember money causing tension in your house. Maybe it was a hushed argument about a bill. Maybe it was a parent tensing up at the grocery checkout doing quiet math in their head while pretending not to. Maybe it was the opposite, a household where money was never discussed at all, where asking about it felt like breaking a rule nobody wrote down. Whatever it was, your brain filed it away as truth. Not as one family's experience shaped by one set of circumstances, but as how money works, full stop. This is how belief formation works in children. A child does not have the reasoning to separate a parent's personal financial trauma from universal financial law. If a parent panics about money, the child does not think, "My parent had a specific bad experience with debt." The child thinks, "Money is dangerous." If a parent spends freely and confidently, the child does not think, "My parent has a high income and low risk tolerance." The child thinks, "This is what having money looks like." These conclusions get locked in years before you have the tools to question them, and they quietly run in the background of every financial decision you make as an adult. Let us walk through the most common inherited patterns, because you likely recognize yourself in at least one of them. If you grew up watching a parent hoard every dollar, terrified of running out, you likely inherited scarcity thinking, even if your own bank account tells a different story today. You check prices out of habit, but not necessity. You feel a flash of guilt spending on yourself even when you can easily afford it. You might have a comfortable income and still find yourself anxious every time a bill arrives, as though the anxiety is a permanent tax you owe regardless of your actual numbers. That is not discipline. That is inherited fear wearing the costume of discipline, and it will keep you smaller than your means for as long as it goes unexamined. If you grew up watching a parent spend to project success, buying the newer car or the bigger house to keep up appearances, you likely inherited the belief that money is for showing, not for building. You feel a pull toward the next upgrade even when your current one works fine. You associate financial worth with visible signals, the right brand, the right neighborhood, the right vacation photos. That pull did not start with you. It started at a dinner table decades ago in conversations you were too young to fully understand but old enough to absorb. If money was simply never discussed in your household, you likely inherited something quieter and more dangerous: avoidance. You do not check your accounts as often as you should. You put off budgeting because it feels uncomfortable in a way you cannot quite explain, almost like touching a subject that was silently marked off limits. Silence taught you that money is not something you engage with. It is something you endure, something that happens to you rather than something you direct. And there is a fourth pattern worth naming because it hides well. If you grew up in a household where money was used as a reward or a punishment, tied to how well you behaved or how proud your parents were of you, you likely inherited the belief that money equals approval. You may find yourself spending to feel validated or working yourself into exhaustion chasing income as proof of your worth, rather than as a tool for the life you actually want. Here's the uncomfortable part. These beliefs do not stay in childhood. They show up in the financial decisions you are making right now, today, without your permission. The raise you got that quietly disappeared into upgrades you cannot fully explain. The savings goal you keep setting and keep abandoning. The purchase that felt necessary in the moment and confusing in hindsight. Somewhere underneath all of it is a belief you absorbed before you were old enough to consent to it, and it has been quietly steering the wheel ever since. The good news is that a belief you inherited is not a belief you are stuck with. Beliefs are learned, which means they can be examined, and anything that can be examined can be changed. This is not about willpower. Willpower cannot fix a belief you have not identified. This is about awareness, and awareness is a skill you can build starting today. Start by naming the belief. Sit with the discomfort for a moment and ask yourself what your household actually believed about money. Was it a source of safety or a source of stress? Was it something to be earned quietly or displayed loudly? Was it something you talked about openly or something everyone tiptoed around? Was it handed out as approval or withheld as punishment? You cannot change a pattern you have not identified. So give yourself permission to sit with this question honestly, even if the answer is uncomfortable. Next, separate the belief from the person who gave it to you. Your parents were not trying to sabotage you. They were passing down whatever they inherited from their own parents. doing the best they could with the information and fear they carried, often without realizing they were doing it at all. This is not about blame. Blame keeps you stuck looking backward. Awareness moves you forward. Then test the belief against your actual life. If you believe money must be hoarded out of fear, ask yourself honestly whether that fear reflects your current reality or a reality that belonged to someone else, in a different decade, with a different income, facing different risks that no longer apply to you. If you believe spending is how you prove your worth, ask yourself who you are actually trying to convince, and whether they are even paying attention. Most of the time, the audience you are performing for in your head is smaller and less invested than you think. Finally, replace the old belief with a decision you actually chose. Not one you inherited by default, but one you selected on purpose because it serves the life you are building. That might mean giving yourself permission to spend on something meaningful without guilt, because you have decided that is aligned with your values, not because you are trying to fill a hole. It might mean setting a real budget for the first time and sticking to it because you decided to, not because fear forced your hand. It might mean pausing before a purchase to ask whether this is truly your decision, or an old script running on autopilot. This process is not a one-time fix. Inherited beliefs do not disappear the moment you notice them. They fade with repetition, the same way they were built with repetition. Every time you catch the old pattern and choose differently, you weaken its grip a little more. Over months, this compounds the same way your money does. Money beliefs feel like personality. They are not. They are inheritance, and inheritance can be renegotiated. The moment you see the pattern clearly is the moment it loses its grip on you, and the moment you start making decisions that actually belong to you, rather than decisions made on your behalf by a household you left behind years ago. If this is starting to feel familiar, stay close, because next we are going deeper into one of the most powerful drivers hiding behind all of this: the quiet pressure to keep up with everyone around you, and how social comparison is silently shaping every dollar you spend, often without you ever noticing it is happening.